that just occasionally flashes "Where is my dash?" once every few seconds. Like, I think that'd be appropriate. All right, so we are off. So we start with the prologue, which is just like a simple, about 45-second segment where we just kind of bounce across these tutorial screens. Like a bird tells us about what all the buttons that we use do, and we're also kind of bunny hopping across this ledge. Jumping very quickly like this does save about 2 frames per hop, so you can actually save about a second in the prologue with efficient jumping. And more of that, yeah, kind of going for that extra little frame save and ends up kind of plunging off right at the start. But that's kind of like that's kind of like a good death to take, I'd say. Like, you just kind of want to get yourself in the groove, remind yourself that, hey, sometimes bad things happen. Like prologue, that happens to everyone, happens to the best of us. All right, so yeah, now we're starting on chapter 1, Forsaken City, and this is where we're going to see the real tech come into play, where now we're going through all these wall bounces, all these hyper dashes, wall bounces being like these precise jumps off of walls to kind of gain a little bit more height, and hyper dashes. Yeah, we're probably gonna see one on Dave's side right here. Yeah, so that's just gonna be like a really simple. You're kind of dashing against the ground to like give yourself like really good speed and like a farther kind of jump. And there's a question in chat about how long these races are going to take. It kind of depends on, like, the player's level. World record for this game is 30 minutes, but Dave's running a PB of about 36 minutes, and more of that is hovering around that 50-minute mark. So, yeah, this is going to take about, like, 3/4 of an hour or so. So, yeah, now we see Dave. Yeah, we should be seeing, like, another little hyper dash. So we're going to see a little bit of a spike jump right here, where we're kind of bouncing right next to the spikes on the part of the spike hitbox that is actually a wall, and that allows us to kind of bounce over this like field of spikes and just avoid having to go through this long portion of the level where we have to make a block drop down. So yeah, Dave is through chapter 1 with pretty good pace. More of that should be following suit. Okay, so Dave coming into Old Site here. So Old Site is kind of an interesting chapter because like it's kind of short but sweet because we get introduced to these little dream block mechanics, which should be activated in here on a couple very shortly here. Meanwhile, more of that. Yeah, they're going to be out of chapter 1 and they're going to be joining Dave in chapter 2. So. And now Dave is taking advantage of these dream blocks where you just kind of dash through them infinitely, and they're very fast. It's very enjoyable, like kind of shooting through those boxes. Yeah, and he's going to be starting the battle line chase in just about one screen here. Yeah, so battle line is the first quote-unquote boss fight in this game. Basically, we're just kind of avoiding this evil version of the main character, Madeline, who tells us that we can't actually climb Mount Celeste. And Madeline mimics our movements on a 3-second delay, and basically we just have to route out our movements so that we're not only moving fast, but we're also avoiding her, which, in a couple screens from now, we're probably going to see Dave having to, move really fast to kind of avoid the battle lines because they are, like everything else in the game, a one-hit KO. All right, meanwhile, more of that. Yeah, kind of making their way through Old Site. I've noticed a couple deaths here and there from them, but it does seem like they're kind of being aggressive with the strats that they're going for, which is pretty nice to see. Like, as the game will tell us before chapter 3, every death in this game means you're learning. So yeah, more of that kind of going for a little bit more advanced techniques here and there, and that's really cool to see from like a newer player. Alright, so Dave gets through the awake section, which is one of those sections in the game where there's nothing there that can kill you, so you just have to move through that efficiently, and it looked like Dave got through there rather efficiently, so good on him. And he's going into Celestial Resort, where pretty much everything can kill you. So in Celestial Resort, we're introduced to these dust bunnies, these like weird black and red amalgams of negative thoughts and energy. I guess spoilers for the plot right there, that kind of also one-hit KO us, but they're also going to be moving. So they're going to be moving on a cycle, and we always know what cycle they're going to be on. Like, there is no RNG in this game. So yeah, you can see Dave kind of moving through the screen because he knows exactly how these dust bunnies are going to be moving. So we kind of know how to not only like get through these screens, but also get through them quickly, moving through these cycles. Alright, so we see more of that in their own awake section now. Getting caught on a corner here and there, but again, that's kind of to be expected from a newer player. Kind of like, yeah, like the more you play this game, the more you get experience with, like, you know, the terrain and how to like navigate through it quickly. Like, it's not only about just like, you know, hyper dashing everywhere. It's also about like knowing when you're about to like hit a corner and like knowing when you have to like, you know, do a little short bunny hop to kind of get you higher up. But yeah, gets through it, and he'll be in Celestial Resort. Meanwhile, Dave in the huge mess section. So first we start off with this huge maze of boxes, books, and towels, and you can see Dave like moving really efficiently through that. Like, Madeline is barely going back to red, like he's just constantly dashing and wall bouncing to kind of move through the section. So yeah, we talked to Mr. Oshiro, who is the proprietor of Celestial Resort Hotel, which is this level, and now we volunteered to help him clean up this mess. So yeah, we can see that this level, all the green, red, purple, and brown items are make our way through these three sections. We'll be cleaning out, you know, the boxes, books, and the towels. So next section that he takes on, there's not going to be any boxes for him to land on. So yeah, the levels, so like these sections do change depending on the order in which you take them. We take them in a very specific way generally, because whenever we exit the section, we want to be as close to the next Oshiro cutscene trigger as possible. So yeah, Dave's very familiar with the layouts of these sections as we run them, and yeah, making it through a huge mess with a pretty good time. Alright, so Dave's getting through this last section of a huge mess. Shoutouts to Theo. And more of that is getting through this first section of Celestial Resort. Yeah, this is one of those levels where you can definitely tell a newer player from like a more advanced... Oh, nice little wave dash strat there. I can definitely tell that more of that has been practicing, which is definitely what you want to see when a runner is sitting on a 53. It like definitely shows that he's motivated, that they're motivated to improve and just kind of like get better at their time. Like, they know that this race is like going to be the last of the tournament, but this kind of show that they're like committed to improving, like even beyond this tournament. So that's going to be really cool to see. Meanwhile, Dave is out of a huge mess, going into his group's namesake, the elevator shaft, which is again just more type platforming, more going through cycles. Yeah, it gets like a little hyper dash. So whenever you transition between two screens, you don't lose any, you retain your momentum, and you also regain a dash. So you could kind of see on that screen that was like now a couple screens ago that he kind of like did a little hyper dash, and that gave him like really good speed to kind of speed through this one little nook and, you know, start that section with the door switches before, you know, without having to like, you know, trigger one of the dash crystals. Meanwhile, getting to the quad hyper dash room doesn't quite get there, but gets it on second try. Very nice. Alright, so Dave is now starting on the Oshiro chase sequence. So, Oshiro, the nice little ghost boy that we were talking to in the huge mess portion, a lot of plot happens, and now he's angry at us, and Dave doesn't quite get the entry cycle in this first room, but yeah, making it through. Yeah, so now because Oshiro is angry at us, yeah, sorry, I lost train of thought there. So now because Oshiro is angry at us, he's going to be kind of chasing us throughout the sequence. So he'll, pause at the edge of the screen there, and he'll shoot a lightning bolt across the screen when he's ready to charge, and that because he's locked onto our vertical position, and then he'll charge after us. So basically, this section is just about knowing where Oshiro is going to spawn, depending on how we're moving, and just kind of moving the same way. Yeah, and Dave, just taking the retry there after he messes up that first jump, like not even going to try to save that just because like now he's on the death cycle and he knows exactly how Oshiro is going to move. Oh, kind of gets caught on the ledge, and yeah, this screen can definitely be a roadblock, like no matter how experienced you are, simply because like it's a very long screen and any death here can be really costly. But yeah, Dave making really good go at this attempt. Yeah, chokes back on that jump just to avoid hitting that like wall of death bunnies, and he is out of chapter 3. Okay, meanwhile, it looks like more of that did take an alternate route through the huge mess section, which is kind of interesting to see. So yeah, whereas Dave kind of went through the laundry section last, more of that is going through the book section last. And you can definitely see that like those purple little sections in Dave's level, like those are just completely gone for more of that, which makes some of these jumps a little harder. But more of that, it's probably just more comfortable with this cycle as it is. And oh yeah, and you can just grab the key from that position, which is kind of nifty. So yeah, they'll be in the elevator shaft as Dave is going through Golden Ridge, which is, yeah, I think Celestial Resort is widely regarded as like the hardest part of the run, but some people tend to sleep on Golden Ridge, and Golden Ridge is just this like really weird collection of like really weird mechanics, like these trampoline clouds and this wind that's kind of like blowing us back. So yeah, there's a ton of like very precise tricks. Like there's nothing really big here that can kill you. It's just like a ton of small things that can kind of snowball. Alright, meanwhile, it looks like more of that took it safe through the room where Dave hyperdashed, and yeah, looks like they kind of forgot what they were doing there, and yeah, they should be starting their Oshiro fight really shortly here. All right. Yeah, so Dave in this room, let's see what strategy goes for. So yeah, so he's going for these wave dashes off these narrow platforms, because obviously we'd always like to be like hyper dashing, but sometimes like when there's a narrow platform, that's not really a feasible option. So sometimes we'll do this wave dash that is, if you're familiar with like the Super Smash Bros. Melee scene, it's kind of named after a move they pull in there, where you just like, jump, you dash against the ground, and yeah, so that gives you the same speed as a hyper dash, but it's also like, a little bit better to control. So you'll see a lot of players kind of go for more wave dashes and hyper dashes, and because like it's a little bit easier to set up, especially on, some of those narrow platforms. Alright, more of that. Getting a couple bops on Oshiro, which is really nice catharsis, especially like if you remember this game from a casual playthrough. It does kind of feel good to like kind of give Oshiro that little bop. Yeah, there's a third bop, very nice. Yeah, we'll see how he handles this last room. Does take a death, but again, like, yeah, a lot of players will like either just retry as soon as they enter the screen, or kind of take an intentional death simply because it's the way the game is structured. It's a lot easier to practice this death cycle that Oshira's Onsen, because like it's a lot easier to just like, you know, retry rather than just go through the entire Oshira section again to get to an entrance cycle. So yeah, nice effort on that last green. More of that is out of Chapter 3, going to be joining Dave in Chapter 4, though Dave is almost out of Chapter 4, getting through the harsh wind section really nicely, it looked like. Yeah, didn't seem to be having too many issues with the snowballs. Yeah, he is through. He'll be in the Mir Temple in really short order. Okay, so Mir Temple is kind of like a cool little chapter. So it's kind of divided into two parts. So the first one is just like, it's pretty much just like a couple really cool skips and some really neat little movement. Yeah, like getting through that one screen with like those very narrow corridors. It's always kind of a treat to see like a top level runner get through that. Nice little dash jump off of that dash block. So yeah, one thing that we're going to be seeing in this chapter are the dash blocks. So oh yeah, and Dave kind of rushed that input there, and you could see him like just kind of holding the left just a little bit to avoid that block. Yeah, so dash blocks are basically blocks that move when we dash, and sometimes we're able to use those to give us like really intense momentum. Yeah, so Dave's gonna be showing us that. Oh, doesn't quite get it first try. Yeah, still gonna be going for it. Yeah, so I think he was trying to like time it so that he would just be flying right across that screen, but unfortunately didn't quite get what he was going for and just kind of said, yeah, this is good enough. I can take this little dash jump that I got. All right, and he'll be going through this nice little dev-intended skip. Ordinarily, you're supposed to find a key and unlock that door, but that little corridor with that third little bubble was there to, like, if you take a key through with that bubble to this part of the level, you're able to unlock one of the collectibles in this game. But this is the 90% run. We're not really looking for collectibles, so we're just using that to skip that key entirely. All right, meanwhile, more of that in Golden Ridge. Nice little recovery there. Yeah, again, dealing with the wind. Ooh, barely misses that green little dash bubble there, but yep, gets a second try. Yeah, they'll be in the... Yeah, so more of that... Oh yeah, kind of taking a couple deaths here, but yeah, they should be getting to the Old Trail section in relatively short order. Meanwhile, Dave is in the Unraveling section of Mir Temple. So basically, in Mir Temple, a lot of plot happens, and we go inside a mirror to rescue our friend, you know, like happens. And now we're encountering these Seekers. So Seekers will kind of track our movement across the screen, and you know, Seekers are AI. They're not RNG, though they can kind of feel like it sometimes. So basically, we just have to be trying to like avoid the Seekers and also use them to our benefit. So you can see Dave use the Seeker there to hit one of the key coins. He's going to be using that Seeker to trigger one of those key coins, and it looks like they got it. Oh, nice little jump on the Seeker. So when you jump on a Seeker, that neutralizes them for just a few seconds, but those few seconds can be essential. And yeah, so that little jump on the Seeker kind of enabled him to get through the rest of that screen pretty quickly. Having some trouble making some of these jumps right here. Yeah, should be on their way to Surge Skip. All right, so nail Surge Skip for first try, and Surge Skip is this nice little skip. Semi-intended by the devs, at least they like knew about it before the game's release, where you're able to just like do a nice little reverse dash jump, and you're able to skip this about a minute and a half long section of the chapter where you're just looking for two keys. Yeah, very well done from Dave. And they'll be getting into the Theo section here, as more of that is dealing with the harsh winds of Golden Ridge. Yeah, so the harsh wind section is very different because now basically you're just forced to dash to get through these screens at all. Meanwhile, Dave is in the Theo section, and the Theo section is also pretty different from everything else in the game because now we have to escort our boy Theo through these screens, and when we're holding Theo, we are not able to dash at all. So what we have to do, as you can kind of see Dave is doing, is we have to throw Theo, do our own dash or hyper dash or whatever movement tech you want to use, and then catch Theo in midair because then we retain our momentum and we're able to continue moving fast across these screens. So yeah, Dave is handling this very well. All right, meanwhile, it didn't sound like more of that was having a lot of difficulties with the snowball section, so very cool to hear. Dave, going for that nice little skip where you're able to just, like, you know, catch Theo in midair and kind of leap over the block rather than going through the intended way, which is to throw Theo on the dash block before the dash block momentum carry just kind of like pops him back to you. Yeah, on this last screen here, yeah, we should see two pretty simultaneous chapter transitions here. Yeah, so one thing Dave's going to be doing is he's going to be trying to time his dash like while these little waves from this giant eyeball hit him. Yeah, gets through that screen, throws your friend at the eyeball, and we're going to Chapter 6 while more of that is in Chapter 5. All right, so Dave is starting in Chapter 6. So first we get this like little dream sequence. There's a lot of dream sequences in this game for a precision platformer, I'm just now realizing. So taking us through this like, you know, miniature little dream sequence where we are introduced to the feathers, which basically get for a few seconds. So we're able to like move in any direction for those few seconds. And yeah, they also move omnidirectionally. Madeline can only move in 8 directions, so a lot of runners will switch to analog for the sections, and because like it gives you better control of the feathers and also loses less speed when you try to turn the feathers. Yeah, so reflection in the plot, we're knocked down to the base of the mountain, which is apparently a jungle landscape filled with like these spikes. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more visually memorable chapters in this game. But it's also like it's also a long chapter, and yeah, it's definitely a memorable chapter because we're also introduced to the Kevin blocks, or the crush blocks as they are properly known. We call them Kevin blocks because they make a delightful noise that we will hopefully hear when more of that gets to this chapter. Yes, Dave going for the strat doesn't quite get it where you're trying to like get that one platform to fall so that the crush block will just move through it, but yeah, still moves through the section pretty fast. All right, so while Dave is getting through the first half of Chapter 6, more of that is being introduced to the Seekers in this narratively speaking, this nifty little sequence that like not only like is a weird sequence that kind of sets up for the in the mirror sequence, but also like teaches you the tutorial. Like this game is just super good. So yeah, I just want to shout that little bit of storytelling out. And yeah, so Dave, yeah, dealing with these little bumpers quite nicely. Gets that little bumper boost. So if you're press the opposite direction from the way you hit a bumper on the same frame, I'm not quite sure how it works, but basically if you time a directional input right when you're hitting that bumper, you're able to just like get a really good boost and just kind of skip having to hit it. Dave's giving a cutscene with the old woman character who kind of shows up a few times throughout the run that we never actually have reason to talk to. And then we're getting another little dev intended skip here where there is this like notch in the middle of this section here where you're able to just like fall through continuously. Yeah, taking a checkpoint because a death on that last little notch will send it back to the beginning of that screen. And, you know, even if you're taking a shortcut, time loss is time loss. So, yeah, that's a nice little safety, right? That is built in right there. Yeah, going through the one swimming section of this entire game. Thank you to That Makes Games Inc. And, yeah, we'll see if he sets up for a battle line boost here. Yeah, either way, he should be shooting through this with incredible speed. We'll see if he gets the full. Ooh, gets caught by that wall, but yeah, still, that moves incredibly well. And he is in the, I guess chat wants me to call this the Gothline fight right now, where the character that chased us through Chapter 2, now we are trying to get them to work with us. So these are so this is like definitely the most like iconic part of this game. Like there's really cool music, which we should be hearing for more of that. Unfortunately, it kind of looks like Dave's audio is missing from the commentator controls here, but yeah, so basically like these are some of the longest screens in the game, and we're basically just trying not to die, but we're also trying to get back to the ground as fast as we can, because that's where all of our movement happens. Like all of our movement is kind of based on how we interact with the ground. Like when we're in the air, we're just floating. So you'll see Dave kind of like holding down to get a little bit more speed when they fall, just to get back to the ground and continue like doing all these hyper dashes and whatnot. Yes, battling Gothline or Shadowline or whatever we want to call her right now. And meanwhile, more of that, dealing with these Seekers. Alright, they will be getting into the Theo section here. And this Theo section can definitely be like another little roadblock for newer players, simply because like it controls differently from everything else in the game, and just like training yourself to kind of get these like hyper dashes is kind of difficult if you're used to moving in a certain way, but it looks like more of that has been practicing this section a little bit, so that's really cool to see. They're getting like really good speed with Theo. Yeah, nice little throw there. They are, yeah, so yeah, we'll continue to track their progress as Dave is kind of finishing up this first phase of the battle line fight. And I'm going to go ahead and throw my own veto on Daddy Line. No. So Dave is in the second phase of Battle Line, where now we're dealing with these moving platforms. Apparently, they developed telekinesis while we were out, while in that one cutscene. Who kind of misses that, but yeah, recovers. All right, so Dave is just now on the last two screens of Battle Line Fight, which again are very long. And with these two screens, like this one, we're just kind of like trying to fast fall as much as possible. And then gets a nice little jump to, it gets a nice little dash into this room to kind of jump into that feather and just kind of put himself on the entry cycle. Yeah, avoids the lasers nicely, should be, yep, gets the final hit on Gothline, and they will be getting their ability to double dash heading into the summit. So yeah, after we kind of convince Battleline to join forces with us, we gain the ability to double dash. And as we'll see in Summit, now the game is going to be like completely different, because now that we can have two mid-air dashes, the game is going to adjust its design around that. You're going to see a lot of gaps, a lot of long sections with spikes. All right. Meanwhile, more of that is going to be throwing the crystal at the eyeball, and they will be in reflection. So, yeah, well met. All right, so the summit is obviously the last chapter in the run, and it's also the longest chapter in the run, because it. So we first revisit like all the previous 6 chapters that we have played, starting with Reflection first, because again, this is on the summit base. Like Reflection takes place at 0 meters. So yeah, like you can see a lot of like really wide gaps. So yeah, so now when we execute an extended hyperdash, that kind of gives us like, 3 mid-airs, assuming Madeline keeps our dash. Dave getting through that section with the springs rather nicely. They will be heading on to the Forsaken City revisit, where we will actually use the zipper platforms that we kind of skipped over because in Chapter 1, we pretty much create our momentum all by ourselves. Yeah, Dave getting these nice little doing these nice little techniques to at least skip like some of the intended ways to go through the screen. Yeah, very nice work getting through this 500-meter segment. As more of that gets this nice little feather skip there, and basically just like climbing up that wall and neutral jumping in rapid succession. Neutral jumping being like wall jumps where you're kind of like holding against the wall. It's kind of hard to explain, but like it's something where like once you actually do it and understand the rhythm, you kind of get it more. But yeah, basically just like kind of giving himself a little bit more height and able to skip this really able to skip like this 9 second long sequence where you have to like unlock a feather and take that for a ride up the level. And meanwhile, taking an alternate path than Dave did through reflection, and now just trying to like climb back up. Yeah, again, like Celeste is like a very large community, and you're definitely going to see like a lot of different perspectives attack this game. So it's really cool to see like more of that, like kind of understanding like what they find easier and just kind of like adjusting their route for that. Yeah, very nice Kevin block room there. Meanwhile, Dave on more of that screen gets through. They're basically through the 1,000 meter section. Like the return of the dash blocks is short but sweet. Like it's a really cool movement through those dash blocks, and yeah. Alright, so Dave is in 1500, and yeah, you can definitely see. So there are 2 different cycles for each room in like both Celestial Resort and 1500 meters. There's the entrance cycle and the death cycle. So sometimes if a runner dies in one of these rooms, they will take an intentional death to put themselves on a cycle that they're more practiced with. Yeah, we'll see how. So Dave gets through one of the longer rooms, 1500, and now he's rewarded with this like sweet little room where he does like 3 ultra dashes. Ultra dashes being where you kind of chain a hyper dash with a hyper dash to just like give yourself that little ultra dash, which gives you incredible speed. It's a very difficult, very precise trick to pull off, but Dave just making the section look real easy. Out of here in no time, making really solid pace. Alright, so now in 2,000 meters, Dave is taking this like unintended path. So basically, like we kind of decided that going through that room with the strawberry is faster than taking the intended path, which is this mess of just like spikes and moving platforms that no one really wants to see ever again. Yeah, working with the last of the snowball section has to take a little bit of an extra dash. Ooh, yikes. Yeah, you can see how that's frustrated him, but yeah, some little frustration crouches. But yep, gets through that second try. Good to see. And more of that is going to be starting the air battle line fight. And again, we're going to be here, and now we're going to be hearing like one of the more iconic tracks in this game. This game has an incredible score all the way throughout. I think this track kind of gets the most love. Like there are sadly very few tracks with like the sheet music for the Mir Temple song written on it. We just have the Hey Ya emote from TTH. So yeah. Alright, so Dave getting through this last part of 2000 meters pretty nicely. And they're on to 2500 meters, which is kind of my personal favorite part of the runs, because like there's a lot of really cool skips in here. Like it's just like really cool trick after really cool trick. Yeah, some more of that, kind of getting through the battle line fight really nicely. Yeah, Dave starts off by like getting this like nice little hyper dash to kind of skip this one dash block cycle. Gets a lot of momentum out that one block. Gets through the double wave dash room really well. Should be going for the key skip here. Yep, nice, gets it first try. That saves you like this trip to the room with like, and again, like another method of like moving spikes and a key. Again, really nice movement in that room. Alright, we're in the needle thread room. And of course, the most famous trick in 2500 meters, the door skip. Yeah, it doesn't get it on the first try there. At this point, Dave's just doing it for the people here. Okay, we're on the third try. Gets a third try, very nice. You know, obviously not as big as time save as opposed to getting it first try, but again, like saving 9 years, you gotta try it. Yeah, 2500, just a really cool section, but again, there's definitely a ton of really cool sections in this game. Again, such as this battle line fight, which more of that is on. And it sounded like they've been, oh yikes, that's a commentator's curse death if ever there was one. Yeah, more of that is on a whole handling this section of the chapter very well. No, we're going to talk about Dave now. So Dave is in 3000 meters, and 3000 meters is the first, you know, more original part of this game, or of this level, not this game. So basically in 3000 meters, we're kind of introducing these two new versions of the heavy wind mechanic. First, we're in the downdraft section, where the gravity of the level is kind of forcing us way down. Yeah, so basically to counteract the effect of the downdraft, we're going to be trying like all these like wall bounces and hyper dashes just so that we're still able to move really fast vertically. A nice little save from Dave there. And you saw those two wall bounces, so those like give you height, but they don't really like, you know, but you're not sacrificing speed for that height. Like you're not having to like, you know, climb up those walls, you're just like bouncing and you're able to jump through the updraft or through the downdraft. So now we're in the updraft section where now we're being forced up by the wind. So these sections are very long and there's not a lot of real ways to speed them up. So yeah, especially on flags 14 and 13, basically we're just gonna try to see the runners just kind of avoid taking deaths, especially these two flags that Dave's on right now. These are a couple of the longer flags in the game, and taking a death here can be pretty costly. Oh yikes, and yeah, often take it a little safe there, didn't quite think that they had the position. Oh, runs out of stamina. Yeah, they have to take a retry there. And that's one of the perils of like taking one of those walls early on. Like you do risk running out of stamina there, but gets through that flag net there. As flag 13 now has to play around with these springs. Oh, it doesn't quite get that little key coin, but yeah, makes it through. All right. Yeah, so Dave is just a few flags away from the end of the updraft section, as more of that is dealing with the second to last screen of the battle line fight. Yeah, it gets that nice little dash to set up that like jump there, and now they just have to ride the feathers and avoid the lasers. Yep, should just be able to hit her. All right, nice. And they will be getting to the summit while Dave is finishing up checkpoint 6. Dave gets through flag 4 really nicely. And yeah, these last few checkpoints, so Yeah, Summit is like because Summit or 3,000 meters is like one of the longest sections in the game. We see that the map isn't like divided into a bunch of screens. Now it's divided into like just 4 very long screens with several checkpoints interspersed throughout. So yeah, now we just have these like little flags, and this part of the level can kind of like screw with your head a little bit, just because like if you get here on like really good pace or like in one of these races, if it's a tight race, you can kind of like psych yourself out on these screens. But Dave's doing a really good job not letting the end of the game get to him, and they finish up their run with a 37.06 it looked like. So yeah, they get the win, clinching the 3rd seed in the elevator shaft group. So GG to Davesterio. Alright, so meanwhile we have more of that getting through the Summit base revisit, and 38.27 against what they told me was a PB of 53. If they practice their Summit, they could be on PB pace, but again, we'll have to see how they handle this last part of the game, because again, this is like the most difficult platforming, and it can also be like a little bit of foul on the nerves, so yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, and didn't quite get that last dash there, so I wasn't able to jump. Yeah, they're still doing really well in this section. Oh yikes, yeah, that didn't... Don't think they quite got that first dash that they wanted, but yeah, kind of taking it a little bit safe, but again, like it's all about kind of what you feel comfortable with when you're first learning this game. Like, you know, a lot of runners will kind of like, you know, kind of take a few runs to kind of get used to the feel of this game, and yeah, they won't, like, it's kind of ill-advised to just like, you know, learn all the strats and try to incorporate them all at once. Like, you'll see like a few runners kind of take that approach, but again, some runners are kind of more comfortable with just like saying, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this, and then once I'm comfortable with this, I'm going to learn that. So yeah, there are like a few advanced techniques that I've seen for more of that. It's just like, you know, being able to learn and adapt and just like kind of developing as you feel comfortable developing. So it's really cool to see like, you know, what he's going for and what he's going to go for in the future. So yeah, well done here. Alright, good recognition from Moore there, knowing that he didn't quite have enough dash to kind of make it to that last block. So yeah, going through that dash block, knowing that it refreshes both of your dashes so that he was able to make it. So yeah, that was really cool, like, you know, kind of on the fly technique from him there. Yeah, now we're going to see how they handle this 1500 meter section, which is definitely like one of the harder portions of this game. All right, more of that getting through that first long room without a problem. That takes a really quick death there, but again, that's quite all right. Yeah, I love this game. Is like it's not that you're trying to like avoid deaths, because deaths are going to happen in this game. Like, you know, even like the most optimized run possible of this game will take an intentional death in a couple places. So yeah, it's more about like, you know, just adjusting to the death and like kind of knowing that it's going to happen. You're going to die multiple times in a run, and you know, just being able to recover. Yeah, and it takes it. Yeah, it doesn't visit the dog room. Just takes that little room with the spring and that like one little dust bunny just kind of like going back and forth. Yeah, it's only a little bit slower, and it's a little bit safer than just going through the dog room and trying to get that like extended dash. Alright, so they're on to 2000 meter. And again, so they're taking that room that Dave opted not to take. And alright, speaking of Dave, he is here in the room with us. So, hey, how you doing, Dave? Nice run.
Yo, what's going on, Walsh?
Yeah, not much. So how do you feel about that?
It was okay. You know, honestly, I think that's actually the best race that I've had in the tournament so far. I could have PB'd if I didn't do some stupid stuff. But, you know what? Overall, it felt good. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was only like 13 seconds off your PB, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like it was funny. I was going for some pretty funny strats, like the nice Ultra Dash strat in Chapter 3 for the auto scroller skip. Like, I don't know. I was going for a lot of like difficult stuff that maybe if I, you know, was like, or I don't know, if I was doing speed by myself, I probably wouldn't go for those if I was on PB pace or whatever. But, I don't know. I had to go for the cool strats. Oh, yeah. Overall, it felt good. It felt good.
No, yeah, and I didn't even realize that was like that you hadn't really gone for the Ultra Dash strat yet. Like, that looked really crisp.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, like, it's kind of funny. Like, the past little while, I've actually been grinding a different speed game. I've been grinding Final Fantasy VII, and, you know, but hopping on Celeste the past couple days, though, and it felt good to really get back in the swing of things, and to, like, be within my PB range is kind of, like, absurd. Like, but, I don't know. It's just really good.
No, yeah, definitely. Like, you're going to be the third seed coming out of your group, so is there anything you're looking forward to in the bracket stage?
Ooh, I am actually super looking forward to the bracket stage matches, partially just because I have no idea who I could potentially face, like, what their time range is. Like, cause yeah, I'm third seed, but I don't know like the time range of the people that I could get matched up against. So there could probably be some really interesting matchups. And then also the fact that it's double elimination, that gives me a little bit of like security. So like if I get a bad seed my first time around, or like get like kind of an unfortunate matchup and I get wrecked, I've got another chance in the losers bracket. So really digging the tournament format, how they're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's been a really fun tournament to like kind of follow and spectate. So yeah, it makes sense that it'd be fun to kind of participate on that level.
Yeah. And we got more of that in 2500 now, the best section.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about that too. Yeah, there's like a few really interesting skips. I think more of that kind of just opted not to take the like neutral jump strat there. But yeah, again, newer runner, it's kind of like interesting to see what they will and won't go for.
And then even like the double spike jump for the key skip, grabbing that bubble does not take too much time at all. So the bubble is totally a viable strat.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think someone once said that like doesn't save quite as much time as like it looks like. Like, I think it's like only 5-6 seconds maybe.
Yeah, that screen really isn't that long. I mean, it just seems like it because you kind of got to go out of your way, but it's a really quick screen.
Yeah, no, definitely. And more of that also opting out a door skip, which again, very understandable. That is a difficult skip to pull off.
Yeah, of course. And if you're on PB pace, you kind of just want to preserve that and just keep going.
Yeah, and more of that. If they're still sitting on that 53, they have a decent 3,000 meter. This could be a PB for them.
I hope so. That'd be sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all right, guys, we're heading up to 3,000. Can we start seeing the countdowns in the chat? Can we start seeing the countdowns?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're about to start flag 28, if I'm remembering correctly.
You might also be a little bit ahead of me if you have like a different restream. I'm just watching on the Speed Gaming channel.
Oh yeah, I have the commentary stream up right now.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. All right, I'll try not to get too far ahead again. Yeah.
No.
More of that.
You're the commentator. You're the commentator.
Right. True. Yes. Okay. So. All right. So yeah, more of that is making pretty decent work through this 3,000 meter section so far. No major misstep, which is really cool to see. Yeah, this part of the race can be kind of like, especially like if you kind of like know your opponent before this race, like you kind of know that there's going to be kind of a longer section of the run where you're going to be the only one on the restream that can kind of get to you. And they're taking a couple deaths here, but again, they should be getting through this. Gets that second spring, and they are on to flag. Which one is this now? 21. Yes, 21.
Just as you start incorporating like all of the wall bounces that you can in a 3,000 meter, like or at least the downdraft section of 3,000 meter, oh my god, it feels so awesome.
No, yeah, it's definitely like a really satisfying part of the run to pull off. Like once you've kind of done a little bit of practice on it, like getting all those wall bounces really feels satisfying.
Yeah, definitely. Like at first it seems like really daunting, but like slowly your skill will mold as a player and you'll start just incorporating like a strat here or a strat there, you know, half second time save here, half second time save there. And like, it's just really cool to see your progress as you keep running. Like 3,000 meters is a section that definitely starts to show when you put practice in and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like about building a trust, like, you know, not just with the game, like knowing its mechanics, but like also with yourself, that you have the ability to pull off these mechanics. And that'll come with time for more of that. Absolutely.
And even still, just like the strats are consistent and they work and they get you through it. So yeah. And then coming up on flag 13 here. Oh no, flag 14. I died like 3 times on, and I don't know how. That was kind of annoying.
Yeah, I kind of felt that was going to be one of those points that frustrated you. Yeah.
It's just, you know, that'll happen. You'll have a brain fart and you'll die like 3 times, but then you'll make it through.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like some, it's one of those levels where like a lot of it will go well, but just like, you know, one flag will kind of like heck up the whole thing.
Yep. And you get flustered and you keep throwing yourself into spikes.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of easy to like get caught in like a little bit of a death cycle on those where you're just like, you know, dying over and over again. But yeah, more of that. Oh yeah, good decision to take the safety flag on flag 8. Alright, getting to flag 6, and they will be out of the updraft section onto the final 5 flags of the summit.
And do you know off the top of your head how much longer runners have to complete their group matches?
I think the deadline for the group stage is actually this Sunday, if I'm remembering correctly.
All right, then we'll probably start hearing about bracket stuff real soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about when brackets are going to start, but they should be starting like within the next week or so. I think we just have to like get the like, you know, group stage results in and kind of like organize bracket stages a little bit. So yeah, that'll be very hype when that starts.
Oh yeah.
And also hype. Yeah, and also hype is more of that. And through these last few flags here, should be starting flag 2. Yeah, takes that wall, and yeah, on here. Yeah, let's get a lot of hype in the chat right now for these last few flags, because more of that should be smashing that PB, I think.
Here we go.
All right, so we're on flag 1 now. Just needs to avoid these last few spikes. Skips the cutscene, and more of that. Finishes out the race and their tournament with a 51-52. GG to more of that.
Hey. But I'm sorry, was that a PB?
It should have been. They clarified in the Discord that their PB to this point was a 53 about.
Yo, awesome. Hey. Hey,
Yeah,
congrats to
definitely.
more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats to more of that. Who needs 52?
Yeah, skip that. Come on. Never seen a 52 and never will.
Well, I guess we have one in the seconds counter to just kind of like commemorate the occasion.
Oh, wait, yeah, there is a 52. I lied. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You got to see it somewhere, I guess.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we'll see if more of that is going to come in here for an interview. Otherwise, I'll just real quick go over the schedule. So we have one more match tonight over on Speed Gaming 3, and that's going to be Maya Undefined versus Gesellschaft. And that's going to be a pretty interesting match, I'd say. So be sure to tune into that. Otherwise, tomorrow, group stage is finishing out, so we're getting a lot of people kind of getting matches in at the last second. So it's going to be a full slate, looking like Speed Gaming 3 and Speed Gaming 4 are going to be the main sites for Celeste Action. So be sure to tune into those.
Also, just want to thank you for doing commentary.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, this was like a real fun race to commentate. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because I know we're getting towards the end of the tournament. And sometimes it's difficult to find commentators for the race, just given people's schedules. And yeah, just really appreciate you taking the time. And everybody in chat saying you did an awesome job commentating. So
I see that. I appreciate that, chat. But yeah, this has been. Yeah, I started commentating like last week, I think, and this has just been like a really fun ride for me. So yeah, it's really enjoyable.
hey, awesome. But honestly, I think I'm probably gonna head out. I don't know if more of that is gonna be coming in, but if they do decide to hop in the Discord, GG's to them. Congrats on the PB. And again, RD Walsh, thank you so much for the commentary.
Yeah, thank you for the race, Dave. So yeah, we will give more of that. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening. So yeah, we are gonna give more of that. I'm just gonna like go through kind of like a little bit of a closing spiel before we see if more of that comes in. But
alrighty, peace out, guys.
Okay, and I'm being informed that we do have a race that was supposed to start around this time. So yeah, again, more of that if you are out there. GG, thanks for the race, thanks for the PB. Stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned to Speed Gaming for more Celeste Action or for more Speed Gaming related content. Yeah, I've been Artie Walsh. This has been Davesterio versus more of that, and have great nights, everyone.